All Eeveelutions are incredible. This list is based solely on preferences and personal experiences with these Pokemon. Anyway, straight to it. Glaceon is a very good Pokemon. It being this low isn't because I dislike it, far from it. I like all of these Pokemon. Glaceon has the big issue of being a nightmare to be able to use in most Pokemon games. The first few gens of this Pokemon being out, you could only get it very late game. While Eevee is cute, it stops being useful as a team member very quickly, and it takes way too long to get to evolve it into a Glaceon. It's a shame, but it means I don't have as many fond experiences when compared to the other Eeveelutions. Glaceon, when actually usable, tends to be pretty good, at least for me. It has incredible special attack, and a nice type with high special attack tends to be great for taking on dragons. Wish it was faster, but in my experience, it can usually take a hit or two. It is just a lack of being able to use it why I can't help but put it last. Sylveon I've only used once. I used it in my second playthrough of Gen 6 when I played Pokemon Y instead of X. This was incredible in-game, to the point where it felt like my team was very overpowered. That may be because Gen 6 is ridiculously easy anyway, even when compared to usual Pokemon. It has ridiculously high special defense, but its special attack is nothing to scoff at. Aesthetically, Fairy type tends to be my least favourite, probably due to me not being a massive fan of the colour pink, which a lot of Fairy types tend to be, but I really enjoyed using Sylveon. It's just a shame I've only used it once. From what I've heard, Umbreon tends to be the usual best Eeveelution for Nuzlocke. Unfortunately, I don't play that many Nuzlocke really. I have used Umbreon a few times, I believe once in Soul Silver and then a few times in Pokemon Colosseum. I really like the design of Umbreon, but I haven't gotten super attached to it before, because at least when it comes to my playstyle, I couldn't get it to work well in Colosseum. In terms of overall bulk, Umbreon is fantastic, and I think that's simply why I don't use it the best. I tend to be someone who plays games by going all out on attack. The fluffiest Eeveelution, which makes me instantly love it. Visually, it might be my favourite of the Eevees. Unfortunately, it's usually the weakest choice of the original trio, due to it having a massive attack stat, back when fire-type moves were only special. That said, its other stats aren't bad, and the couple times I have used it, it hasn't been a disappointment. I think when we get another inevitable Kanto remake, I'll use it since it will be able to take better advantage of its attack stat than in Fire Red and Leaf Green, which is where I've used it in the past. My go-to Eeveelution for Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. Fast and very powerful. It's simple to use, but damn is it effective, super effective. There is also something so satisfying having a Pokemon that can outspeed and one-shot a Gyarados, because as cool of a Pokemon as Gyarados is, whenever I have a team without an electric type, it becomes the most frustrating Pokemon to battle, and Jolteon takes care of all of these bulky water types with very little effort. Leafeon at one point would have been lower on the list, but using it in Legends Arceus made my heart grow even more for Leafeon. It was probably the least useful team member, but considering I had the overpowered monster Ursaluna on my team, it wasn't likely it would ever be the most useful team member, but it was still very useful. My Legends Arceus team is probably my all-time favourite team I've used in a Pokemon game. Leafeon being a part of that helps me love it so much. Leafeon is a great bulky Pokemon, but can also attack pretty hard, and as someone that usually isn't the biggest fan of grass types, it's nice to have one that I love so much. Espeon and my number one, which you know now is Vaporeon, are the two Eeveelutions I've used the most. I love using this guy in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and in Colosseum. It's been one of my favourite Pokemon since I was a kid for that reason. It's great for clearing out the ridiculous amount of poison types Team Rocket uses, and helps make getting through that long part of the game less tedious. Very fast, and the ridiculous special attack means I often don't have to worry about this little creature fainting, because it usually just sweeps teams. No need for a crappy creepy meme here, Vaporeon has always been one of my favourite Pokemon. Fire Red is probably the game I played through most, and Vaporeon is my usual go-to water type. It's bulky but deals a good amount of damage, on top of being helpful against Lance's Dragonites with Ice-type moves. It's a Pokemon that rarely faints on my teams, no matter the generation I've used this Pokemon in. It never ceases to be an amazing and vital team member. There being more water types than other types is almost unfortunate in my case, because between this and Lapras, most others don't get much of a chance to be used on my teams, in Kanto games at least. I absolutely love its design. Its mane, or like a rough collar someone like Shakespeare would wear, is so cool because there's nothing I can think of in nature that's quite like it, since it's also so fish-like in its design. One of my all-time favourite Pokemon, but honestly, so is Espeon, and I wouldn't be shocked if one day I changed my mind between the two. Anyway, that is all for this video. Please consider liking, subscribing and commenting, as it all helps my channel stand out with the annoying YouTube algorithm. Anyway, that's all for this video, and until next time, bye I guess.